Welcome to the Whiskey After Work podcast. This is where booze meets business. I'm Doug Shaw, owner of Peach State Business Brokers and Advisors.
And I'm Melissa Hergert, owner of Brain Train Centers.
We are serial entrepreneurs that love to learn from other successful professionals and love to drink whiskey. Hello, Melissa.
Hello. How are you this wonderful day?
I'm doing good. So, welcome to the Whiskey After Work podcast, episode 5. I think we're a couple listeners away from being able to pull some advertising from Spotify. Thank God.
Nice. That was quick.
It was quick. A few weeks, about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
We have a pretty good show today.
Yes.
Interesting guest.
Yes.
A guy you want to know. A guy that you hope you never have to use. Mm-hmm. But boy, if you need him. Our guest today is Sean Ditzel, who is a local attorney here in Marietta, and I'm going to get to him in a minute. But I've got a few things that I need to get out of the way before we start.
Yeah.
Today's episode is brought to you by Brain Train Centers, Keystone Realty, and Peach State Business Brokers and Advisors.
Great businesses.
Before we get rolling, I'm going to remind everyone that the views expressed on this podcast are of the idiot that's saying them and no one else. So if you hear something come out of one of our mouths that deeply offend you, blame that person and nobody else, and no business and no sponsor and no producer and
no guest.
Unless the guest is saying it.
Yeah.
So that's. I just want everybody to know that. Yeah, we're gonna swear a little bit. We're gonna be a little bit offensive sometimes, and if that bothers you a whole lot, I'm sorry. This is probably not your podcast. But if you like whiskey, you like business,
Yeah.
you like to have fun, and you like to learn a little bit, hang out. We're gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
So our guest today is Sean Ditzel.
Hello. Thank y'all for having me.
Yes.
And he's a longtime friend of ours. He's a local guy.
He's been my friend longer.
Yeah, he has, but as we'll talk about in a little bit, he and I have crossed some paths before, too, that we didn't realize. And
trying to make himself important.
he's originally from Baltimore, Maryland,
Yeah.
but it wasn't his fault. He got here when he was pretty young.
Like most Atlanta people, not really from here. So transplanted when I was 11.
And Jewish, he said that's important. Jewish on his mother's side, and it's a fact that he actively hid when he moved to Paulding County, Georgia, in 1992.
There wasn't much choice about the matter.
No. So, he's a graduate of Paulding County High School out in Hiram, GA.
It's actually Dallas.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's on 61 out there.
Yeah.
So Dallas, Georgia, that was the only high school out there for a long time. It's not that way anymore. Went to Georgia State, graduated 2003 with where'd you go to school there for? Political science.
Political science and English. That's right.
And he was pretty smart.
Yeah.
High grades.
Yeah.
Big time scholar.
That just means I didn't have much of a social life.
Aw.
But, it's all good.
Then he went to the University of Georgia.
Go Dogs.
Dogs, spelled D-A-W-G-S.
I'm not going to bark on the mic.
Thank God.
Please don't. Yeah.
With honors, mock trial team. That's where he became a soulless attorney. So his first job out of UGA was at a place that's near and dear to me. I have several attorneys that I'm friends with that work at this place. It's Vincent Talley Richardson and Cable. That's also in Dallas. And you did divorce work there, correct?
Yeah. I basically, they were throwing away all of their domestic divorce business. They hired me, said, hey, maybe we don't have to give it to everybody else in town if you'll be willing to do it.
Nice.
I parlayed that, and 17 years later, I'm primarily still doing divorce work.
And we'll get into the rest of where he's at now and where he went from there. He's married, like so many of my friends, has completely outkicked his coverage.
That's true.
So his wife, Robin, is a clinical psychologist here in Marietta. He's got 2 kids, Xavier and Alexandra. Young, too, 7 and 5.
Still very much in the thick of it.
And an interesting fact, and this is where he and I have some sort of connection. He was started out in maintenance and then worked as a lifeguard at this place called Sun Valley Beach in Powder Springs, Georgia, and it was the weirdest place ever. 1.5 acre chlorinated and filtered swimming pool where I have never pulled so many kids. I was a lifeguard instructor there, and my wife, actually, that's how I met her. She was in one of my classes.
Oh my gosh!
And she was a lifeguard. She was the head lifeguard out there for several years.
It was the best place. Best
it
place
was.
to work.
But what was a lot of kids? They'd bring these daycares out and these,
Oh
and
gosh.
there'd be dozens and dozens of kids out there. They wouldn't have any kind of like guardians or supervisors with them. They
Daycares,
just
field trips.
they'd
Oh my
make the
goodness.
lifeguards turned into babysitters. My record in one day was 13 saves.
Whoa!
Yeah, we're not gonna do a dick measuring contest here,
No.
but I worked there during this thing called King's Kids, and it was this international Christian conference where they brought thousands of people there, and they were
I've
camping
heard of
all
that.
over
I
the
was going to say, I remember that they were sleeping in these giant tents. and
tents.
stuff.
Yeah, and so most of them couldn't swim, but they just got in this, 17-foot deep pool anyway.
Oh my
and we
God.
were just all day. You just heard whistle after whistle after whistle. You just couldn't even keep up.
Oh my goodness!
But nobody died on our watch. But several
good.
years later, after I worked there was somebody who died, and it basically shut the place down. They were in litigation, and
Yeah, they had 2 years in a row where they had a drowning out there. Now,
my God.
when Sean and I worked there, it was under different ownership. They had one drowning in all their years.
Wow!
But the new owners had two
Two
drownings
in
in 2 years,
Right.
and then it
That's
just
so
got
sad.
prohibitive to keep it open. And I was out there a couple months ago. They're turning it into a subdivision, and went to the place where my wife and I had met the first time was a pavilion. That was down below the pool, and it's like a cul-de-sac now. And
Oh,
yeah. So
crazy.
another interesting fact related to Sun Valley is I have half of a screenplay about my experiences there, and I'll finish it one day and sell it.
That's cool.
So we've had this discussion before too, and I think it would be cool to get together some of the people that work there. And I've got another good friend that worked with you out there, that Matt Mason. He's an insurance agent, and I think it'd be really cool to get some of the different people from different times that were out there, because I bet you the stories aren't a whole lot different between them, and you could come up with some great stuff to put in that.
That'd be free work for me. If we're gonna talk and reminisce, I kind of recommend opening up a bottle, and I've brought I think a good one. It was recommended to me by a trusted advocate at a local liquor store, Gem City here in Marietta. I've not tried it. That's part of being a whiskey drinker, is being adventurous. Catoctin Creek. What's it called? Roundstone Cask Strength Rye, and it's 120 proof. It's not for the faint of heart. So Melissa, Kristen,
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
So could this one possibly make Bourbon Friday?
Oh yeah, this will make Bourbon Friday. Bourbon Friday for your listenership. My law firm, we all like to drink bourbon and whiskey and all kinds of things in between. And at every Friday on a good spring and summer day here in Georgia, we'll be on our rooftop of our building drinking bourbon.
We're gonna make it to one of those parties one day.
Yeah, I hope
Maybe-
so.
maybe
we
we'll
keep
get an
we keep
invite.
talking about it. No, he said it's always an invite.
All right.
It's an open invite, but we are going to be more intentional about doing sort of a invited monthly thing going forward, because sometimes it's hard for us to coordinate who's there, who's not. We've had people show up and nobody's there. So
Oh,
Oh, Melissa,
I'll
in
bring
front of you.
okay.
You notice I brought tasting glasses
Yeah,
today.
this is cool.
In front of you, this is a gift from Clinton Dugan. He's one of the owners of Short Barrel Bourbon, and now one of the new owners of Fourth Ward Distillery here in Atlanta.
Cool.
And he sent some tasting wheels. So this is a little easier for us, especially when we talked about it last episode. You didn't have a ton of experience with whiskey and bourbon.
Yeah.
So this is all the different ways that you can pick up different flavors when you drink your whiskey and when you're tasting it for the first time.
Okay.
So you're going to pick up that glass, and what are you going to do, Melissa?
I'm going to sniff it.
You're gonna nose it.
I'm going to nose it.
But where do you breathe?
Through my mouth.
There you go.
Ooh, that's strong smelling.
What do you get? A little yeast in there, a little doughy when you smell it at first?
I'll take your word for it. I like to drink it. You know, the smell, it's part of it, but
It smells like rubbing alcohol.
this wheel will be helpful for me because I'm just not big into describing it.
Yeah.
It's like, it tastes good. It tastes good.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
What happened,
Oh.
Doug? Cheers.
I'm giving you
Jeez
cheers. I
Louise.
was tasting it. I was busy. There's more important things at hand here than cheersing. It's drinking. Yeah, that's good. It's definitely cask strength.
Oh, Lordy.
Thick.
Ooh.
It's got a viscosity. It's like
It
a
sure does.
530.
And you can tell it leaves like a
Yeah.
a trace on the Glencairn glasses here.
Are those called tannins still?
It's not wine. I don't know if you call it that.
I wouldn't call it tannins. What? Just the?
The legs. The
Oh no, that's just indicative of how thick the.
I'm sure there's some term
Yeah,
for it,
there's-
and that y'all will learn in your
yeah. We gotta
journey
figure that out.
here.
Kristen, look it up. I want to know.
That's what producers are for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So would this be in the grain area?
without question because of the
Yeah.
rye.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you're gonna have some grain taste. Definitely gonna have. It was finished in a charred barrel, and Sean and I talked about this earlier, where we were setting everything up, and yeah, you can taste. You can taste a little bit of the barrel,
No, it's a rye, and we
a little
want to
bit
know
of the
what
char.
the arms or legs or whatever it's called that come down on the glass.
What do you think?
I like.
Yeah, it's good.
I like it. It's
actually
chewy. It's thick.
Yeah.
I like it.
Chewy. Oh, that's a weird description. But yeah, it makes sense.
Good stuff.
I mean, I can already say being on the podcast and drinking is better than actually listening to the podcast. You guys need to
Yeah.
encourage drinking for your listeners. Like, hey,
Have a drink with us.
Yeah.
Good
Well,
idea.
You know, when they look at the name of the episode and see what we're drinking, they could just go out and buy it before they even listen.
Yeah.
True.
So we've done that before with virtual wine tastings, and that everybody went out. And I think we did it with Jackie and them when we did
cidery.
Urban Tree Cider. Yeah, everybody had their
Yeah.
cider. So very good.
That is good.
Definitely, you can tell it's cask strength. What was the proof on that?
I think it's
120.
120.
Yeah, so you don't want to drink a ton of that, Melissa. 120, it kills COVID. 60% alcohol.
Nice.
There you go. You should be COVID free.
Yeah.
Yes.
Goodness.
Winner.
So I'm going to let Sean tell us a little bit more about himself and what he does and his practice and kind of how he got there from what we talked about. So I'll
Awesome.
cut you loose, Sean.
Sure. Give it a go. So I appreciate the lengthy introduction. I am primarily a divorce and family law attorney. So when people say family law, what does that mean? I'm not a consigliere for some mafia. I do custody, adoption, child support, alimony, divorce work. And I'm a good person to know, but not a person you want to use, right? So I've been doing what I do almost my entire career. I started out at a general practice firm, the one you mentioned, out in Paulding County, and I was doing mostly divorce work. But you know, I literally, shit you not, my first case ever was about the sale of 7 horses. It was a contract case, only in Paulding, right?
Oh my
Sale of
goodness.
7 horses. That's my first case. But anyway, if you had told me, or probably most family law attorneys, when they got to law school, hey, you're going to do divorce work, we'd say, fuck you. I'm not going to do that. Nobody wants to do that. I got some experience doing it between my my second and third year of law school. And I kind of, I was looking for a job. I found one at a criminal defense family law firm, also out in Paulding. And I kind of liked the human touch that sort of work provided. I wasn't just working for, saving some corporation money. I wasn't working for some insurance company, saving them money. I actually got to interact with real people, help them out. So when the prospect of getting that kind of job after school opened up, I wasn't foreclosed to it. And I've found that I do enjoy it. Now, some days are harder than others. Obviously, there's some ugly crap that we see, but I parlayed that first job into a job that I worked for many years in downtown Atlanta, a white shoe family law only firm, and rose through the ranks there. But that was a fun job. There were a lot of perks to the Atlanta lifestyle, lots of celebrities, lots of athletes, entertainers, executives at international companies. So, going from very middle income folks in Paulding County, probably a lot of low income folks in Paulding County, to the richest the city has to offer, I had a very diverse experience of work. And but I think, like many people, many small business owners, you get to a point where you don't want to work for and make money for your bosses anymore. Mm-hmm. And so in 2017, I partnered up with another local attorney here who I've known for a long time, Jeremy Abernathy, and we put it together. He had a similar diverse background of representing all over the the socioeconomic spectrum all over the city of Atlanta and surrounding areas. And so we put it together in 2017, about the time I met Melissa, because I started marketing around here. I moved my practice from Atlanta to Cobb. And we've been going strong. We added partner Jordan Hendrick in 2019, bought our building, or bought an office suite in a building right off the square. And we all do family law. We like what we do, and we're good at it.
Mm-hmm.
So family law can be a little dangerous too.
It can be. It can be.
Have you ever had an issue where somebody's tried to get even, so to speak?
Oh.
I had a couple scares. We previous to our current office, we were not far from this office where we sit now. I was right on the square in a second story office, and I had a client who I knew was armed and dangerous and unhinged and upset with what the court said his rights were with regards to his kid. And we knew that he was in the area. We had to lock up and call the police. And luckily nothing happened with it, but it was a very scary situation.
He was your client?
He was our client.
Wow.
Your producer, Kristen, mentioned before the podcast started recording that it's National Be Nice to Your Attorney Day.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have many of those days because, what I do in family law, you're dealing with good people going through incredibly stressful and hard times. Yeah. And it brings out the worst in people.
Especially with kids involved, huh?
Oh, yes. So we've seen it. We've seen a lot. And unfortunately, within the last 3 years, there are 2 family law attorneys in the metro Atlanta area who've been gunned down and killed. One by their own client and the other by opposing party. So it's really not for the faint of heart. I mean, those are rare, but when you hear 2 in the span of several years, it's
it's scary.
Yeah. Working with people's lives, big changes.
Yeah.
No, it's horrible. Yeah, I mean, not everybody gets to go through a smooth divorce. It's
some do.
Some do. Well, you act like adults.
Yes.
And so
the first case I ever had the luxury and liberty of turning down was at my first job out in Paulding County. And the person who was trying to hire me for her divorce was in jail. So her family was trying to hire me on her behalf. She wanted to divorce her husband. And so when I found out about the facts of the case, she was in jail because she put a hit out on her soon-to-be ex-husband. And she only had a couple years left in jail. And so I was like, I'm not screwing this up. I was a baby lawyer. I was out maybe a year at that point. And so I fielded the call. I met with the family, and they were willing and ready to pay whatever we asked for. But I told the partners there, I'm not comfortable doing this. And they're like, you don't have to, you shouldn't do it. And so,
that's good.
yeah, sometimes the best cases, the best clients are the ones you turn down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Feels good to be able to do that.
So you do a little bit outside of family law too, correct?
A very little bit. We do some, low-level estate planning, wills, trusts, powers of attorney, stuff like that. Family law bleeds into juvenile court sometimes, and it also bleeds into quasi-criminal. We do a lot of temporary protective orders and violence situations. So those have criminal ramifications. And we, particularly one of my partners, Mr. Abernathy, does some personal injury law, but, we're all very trained and ingrained in family law primarily. But he's had good results with PI, and Jeremy's a unique individual, and he would be a great guest on your podcast one day too, because in addition to being a multifaceted lawyer, he's a Baptist minister, and so he gets lots of referrals. And so if he gets a referral for a PI case, why not sometimes?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did COVID create a boom for your business, or?
COVID created a gigantic boom for our business.
Yeah, nothing like finding out how much you like somebody
Or hate somebody.
by putting them in a house and saying, hey, you're not leaving for a month.
It really ratcheted up the tension, and it forced people's hands. The problem was it took about 6 months to 8 months for courts to really figure out how to get these cases heard. Because of COVID shutdown. Nobody was in person, and everybody was learning on the fly to Zoom and do WebEx and all the various platforms. So there was a backlog. And when they first started letting cases come back, they prioritized the criminal cases because right to a speedy trial and all that, they had to get those folks through. So while our caseloads increased, the ability to actually close out cases was hampered for a while. I mean, a lot of people settled and couldn't have their day in court until the system figured it out. But I think particularly for the justice system or us lawyers, maybe not criminal so much anymore, but we've really gone and embraced the Zoom platform and those similar type platforms, because a lot of the hearings that we used to have to go to all around state of Georgia, all around Atlanta, we can now just pop on a Zoom and
Cool. So
make an
you're
announcement. It's not for most final hearings, but all the intermediate, all the,
Nice.
small announcements. We don't have to waste away in a courtroom, waste a client's money sitting around all day waiting to be heard.
Well, certainly hope I never have to use your services. So
I have kind of a personal question. Has any of the cases ever affected your marriage?
It is very difficult not to bring home your work.
Yeah.
Right. It can be brutal. And I think a lot of people burn out in family law because after a certain amount of time, as thick of skin as you may have, it begins to wear on you. And I can't lie and say it doesn't take a toll sometimes.
Sure, yeah.
It does make you appreciate, a good relationship and not having the absolutely wild, abusive, shit that we see on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's a good way to look at it.
It
makes you appreciate it.
I'll also say this: as a 25-year-old coming into the profession, nobody's really getting divorced at your age. But
Right.
as a 42-year-old man, as I sit here now, half my friends are divorced,
Yeah.
remarried, getting divorced for a second time.
Jeez.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
And so you're just looking around bewildered a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I never understood that. The
What's that?
governor calls, gives you a reprieve, and then you jump up and say, strap me in again.
You don't know how many times I've heard, well, I'm never getting divorced again. And then I see that same person on, somewhere and they're remarried. I've had a several repeat customers handling their second, sometimes their third divorces.
So you know that he's good at it, and you know that all that money's worth it.
Right?
Obviously, they view it as worth it. Yeah.
You don't
Return
have to
customers.
spend a lot of money to get a good divorce if you're both reasonable, but
Yeah.
unfortunately that's
Oh
pretty
yeah,
rare.
my sister's going through one still now, and it's
Yeah.
been going on for almost 2 years.
Oh,
and,
God.
yeah, just not even reasonable, and the guy's not even reasonable, and it's just the only people that are smiling right now are the attorneys, and because they're making a killing because it just
Right.
keeps dragging on and on and on.
People have a hard time accepting how much it can cost for a divorce. And, this isn't applicable in every case, but we sometimes ask our clients, well, how much did you spend to get married? How much was your wedding? How much was all the stuff that you put into your home? You're not willing to, spend that on your divorce. Or, you talk, I've heard other attorneys, I haven't used this personally, but my partner figured this one out. He's like, okay, how much you spending on closing costs for a house?
Yeah.
Okay, lawyers, pretty similar
Yeah.
percentage of your estate.
Luckily, I didn't have
But
to
we
spend that
don't
much.
we don't charge we charge hourly
Yeah.
against a retainer. We don't charge like percentage.
Yeah.
We can't do that in most cases in family law.
So your business has been booming though, and I mean not just because of that, but because of how you kind of market yourself and put yourself out there. So tell us a little bit about that. I mean, how do you market that business?
So we're primarily referral based. I mean, we do scant little amount of any sort of marketing we pay for. We had a company that ran our social media accounts for a while. We kind of figured out we weren't getting a whole lot of leads from that. So it's a lot of networking directly with other attorneys. It's a lot of word of mouth from previous clientele. And I feel like staying involved in the community is huge for me. Not just direct, peer-to-peer marketing groups, but being involved in the local bar association, I'm a local Marietta Kiwanis, and so
Melissa's
thought you were.
Melissa's involved in the local bar association.
Only because Kristen drags me to McCracken's all the time. That would not be my choice.
It's never mine.
I'd rather go to like Hamp and Harry's where the classy people go.
You could always
that's
run
where
out
the
the back
suckers go.
door.
Oh, I guess I'm the sucker paying $15 for a drink, actually.
Yeah, but the place is good.
It is good. They have really good, yeah. Shut up.
very good food and drink.
They do.
Yeah.
No, it is important to stay connected to the community, definitely.
Yeah, Kiwanis is I like Kiwanis.
Yeah.
I'm real involved with Rotary, and it's.
I
got
wish that
similar
I
feel
were
to it.
able to stay more involved with things like that, but a trial lawyer's schedule is one of the most unpredictable things. Like that's why sometimes y'all will go 3 weeks, 2 months without seeing me just because we can't really. The court sets our schedule. We don't really set our schedule.
We know that. We'll give you the pass for our Wednesday morning group.
I was going to say, I guess we didn't say it before, but Sean's on our board of directors.
He's been with me since. Did you come when I started it in my office or at Gabriel's?
Gabriel's. So Steve Worrell had me come sit for him one day when he couldn't make it.
Yeah.
And I signed up that day.
Yeah.
Because it was perfect timing. I had just started my business. I looked at some other more formalistic marketing groups. I'm like, I can't commit to that.
Yeah.
And so when I heard your pitch about like, you can try to be here, but we're not going to hold it against you. I was like, oh,
we're
that
all
works.
adults. I mean,
And
yeah.
and so I've
You've been with us since. What was that? Like 6 years now.
Yeah, that was I think August of 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sean's got all these like little things that go. Of course, you were a soccer player when you were younger, but now your kids are playing, and
Yeah,
you coach them now, or what?
I assist. I help out with my daughter's rec team. My son is in like the pre-academy program, and they have like paid coaches out there. I just got an email right before we started recording that my daughter, it's her first season, has been selected for the Rec All-Star.
Ooh.
So she's very good. I mean,
That's
she's only
so
played 4
cool.
games, but she's great. She's
Oh,
a
you'll be
feisty-
getting the academy letter pretty soon. you know,
Yeah.
how much it costs.
Oh, I know. Yeah. We'll see. But
I'm so glad my daughters are not athletic. Mila played soccer one time, and the only goal she's ever made was in the wrong goalie.
it takes time.
Nope. She was like, I don't want to do this. I was like, perfect, because I don't want to waste my Saturdays at the soccer.
It is a lot of time invested. And I mean, when you see the folks that do academy, I should
They're
say
so
when you
serious.
don't see the folks, because once they start academy, you never see them again.
Oh,
Wow.
it's your summers are shot.
Nope, I'm good.
Every
with that.
vacation revolves around a soccer tournament. Or,
Yeah.
yeah.
No.
I'm really glad that my daughter
could be
never
in
really
plays.
got into the academy stuff. And I love soccer. I mean, I played when I was a kid, and I'm a licensed coach and coached my youngest one till she was about 14.
I
and then-
didn't know that. That's
Yep.
fun.
So I love.
And you're a season ticket.
Yeah, I have season tickets to Atlanta United, and
Do you go to those games?
I've not been to one.
I'll
better
take care of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll take care of that.
I played growing up. I've coached intermittently through the years. I played as an adult in intramural leagues.
You a
but
decent goalie? You play goalie?
No, I was always left
Because
midfield.
United's looking for one right now.
Yeah, I'm too short for goalie, and I don't have hops. I mean, I'm somewhat athletic, but no goalie for me.
So, you'll love this, Melissa, because some of the stuff you get. I ask for the wives to send me stuff too.
Oh, let's hear it.
And did you know he worked for Abercrombie and Fitch?
Oh, that makes total sense.
All through.
Were you
all
the
through-
model? Did you have to wear like your shirt unbuttoned at the doorway?
No. I did. I worked at a store that did that. I started because I went to Georgia State undergrad. I worked at Phipps Plaza. It's now moved over to Lenox, I think. But back then it was Phipps, and it was their Atlanta flagship store.
That was before they issued you a bulletproof vest and a.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Jeez, that
Horrible
place
down
is
there now.
So rough.
But
How fun. During high school?
no college.
College.
Yeah, and in fact, I went back while I was waiting for my bar results. I had gone to 3 years of law school, was a legal intern, took the bar. I was working back at Abercrombie just to have money coming in until my actual job started, which was sort of pending bar results. And so I was I guess, how old are you? I was a 25-year-old guy just working at that point. It was the Cumberland Abercrombie because I was living in Smyrna.
Oh, God.
And I was older than the manager. So
Right.
I was like, I don't wait tables. I don't do anything like. I just
Yeah.
need some money coming in while I'm waiting for this job.
Did they make you buy all your clothes, though?
Yeah, they changed that policy, but yeah, they when you worked there, you had to not only wear Abercrombie clothes, they had to be in season. I mean, you got all
Yeah.
kinds of discounts and all that.
Abercrombie, where you can have everything you want as long as it's between extra small and medium.
Right. I've heard that they won't even hire you unless you are in those sizes. I don't know if that's
I
true.
think it's changed now too, and I also think they've started carrying like a wider range of
Well,
sizes.
they got in
but
a lot of trouble. I mean,
Didn't
there
they?
was a big PR controversy
Yeah.
about not only their hiring practices, they changed the policy where they don't have to wear those clothes anymore. It was
Oh.
some, I should know this as a lawyer, but it was some legality that
Oh,
so-
there was some executive at one point that just made the comment that over a certain size
Yeah.
isn't part of the
Of
image
the
that we
image.
want
That's
to
what I
that we
was
want to
thinking.
portray.
I thought
And
it was one out in California. Maybe that's why I thought it was someone out there.
Well,
that did that.
California. Everything that comes from California is just fucking weird.
You're
anyway.
fucking weird.
But we did have to. No, I never had to stand in the front and with my shirt unbuttoned or
get
anything
the hot
like
girls
that.
to come in. Yeah.
But we did have to wear the clothes and the god awful colognes.
Oh, the colognes were and it's so strong right when you pass by. So my high school job was at Lids, believe it or not. Doesn't that make sense?
So you passed by.
You're kind of a snapback girl. I can see it.
I was the only girl that worked at Lids. I was the top part-time salesperson in the whole country.
I bet you were.
I was. And I was
The gift of
15.
gab.
I was 15 years old. They'd come up with hats. I'd be like, oh, you need hat cleaner? You need this, this, this. They were buying.
Hat cleaner.
Yeah.
All
the
kinds
store
of
she worked
bullshit.
at sold more Padres hats than
Oh, but did you see the Padres game on Sunday?
we don't talk about that.
And I kept calling it the Padres game. I was like, I'm going to the Padres game, and telling people in Atlanta that I'm going to the Padres
Those were
game.
the Padres. I thought that was a UPS team.
Oh,
That's,
whatever.
Jesus, 10. What was
That
it?
10 to
2?
2.
Oh, God.
So I
brutal.
snuck down right behind the dugout of the Padres, and I stood up. She left me there, and I was sitting by these two guys. And they're
She
like,
as in Kristen.
Yeah, Kristen left me there. So I was sitting there because I snuck down. I was like, I'm going to still sit here. And then I stood up and I said, Machado, I love you. he
And then
turned
they
around and
escorted her
smiled.
out.
And then they escorted me out. They're like, can we see your ticket, please? I was like, oh, my friend has the paper one.
They don't have
We don't
paper,
have paper
tickets, anymore.
I guess.
Do they not?
I don't
No,
know.
everything's on the MLB app.
Oh, but that was a great game. Thanks, Kristen, for the tickets.
I went last night. So-
Did the Braves lose?
No, they won.
No.
10th inning walk-off home run. I'm going to go again tomorrow night.
Oh, fun.
You
Yeah.
have season tickets.
No, you do?
No, do you?
Oh no, just friends that are. So I grew up a Cincinnati Reds fan, and so Cincinnati now only comes here one series a year, and it's always early.
Yeah.
So I always used go to the Reds, a couple games of the Reds series, and this is the first time in 30 years I've been cheering for the Braves over the Reds.
Oh,
That's okay. I mean, I've settled in. I've been here 30 years. It's home.
okay.
I didn't want to rush into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I like the Reds. I hope they do well this year, but I just hope they do well when they're not playing Atlanta.
You like the Braves?
Yeah. So I moved here at a magical time for the Braves. We literally moved here during the worst of first season, and so it was hard not to get swept up in that. As a kid who played baseball, and Cal Ripken was.
I was going to say
a
you were an
god.
Orioles fan.
I
You
was an
had to be.
Orioles fan, but watching that organization, kind of like you with the Reds, that organization just not give a shit about the franchise or the fans for so many years. That's just sort of gone away. I would like to see them do well. They've been bottom dwellers of that division for so many years. They have a couple of exciting prospects now, and maybe they'll make some noise. I mean, hell, Machado he came up through there. And,
We're
So-
keeping him, though.
So I saw this
yeah.
week that the third highest paid player on the Reds this year is Ken Griffey Jr.
I saw that.
Griffey hasn't played in how long? 10 years?
At least.
Wow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Good for him, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, any other? I know you're a dog fan, so you love UGA football.
Yeah. It's my experience with that has been a ride because, being not from here, it's not sort of in my blood like it is for many people who are born in Georgia, and it's just like you support the Dogs or the Yellow Jackets. But I was really football agnostic, even in college, until I kind of realized, well, I'll probably go to UGA for law school. And then once I got accepted, I was like, okay, I'm in, I'm all in. And I have been since. As I got student tickets, I went to all the games when I was there, even during the tough parts of law school, of which there were many. Never, I've shared misery with a lot of long-suffering fans, and to be in the position that Georgia is now as back-to-back national championships,
And facing the easiest schedule of damn near any
Yeah.
Power 5 team in the nation this year. Oh,
You guys are going to hate me. What school's up in Athens?
oh my God.
What's that one?
That would be UGA.
Oh, that's UGA. What's the one downtown?
Tech.
No, I know Tech. Isn't there another?
Georgia
State.
State, and that's where he went as undergrad.
Okay. I always get those mixed
Oh
up.
my God.
My grandfather went to Georgia Tech, and I know
Again,
there's some
the
bumblebee.
opinions expressed on this show.
Listen, San Diego
Hey,
State
y'all
just went to the championship.
people just clicked
basketball.
unsubscribe.
I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just
They're gonna what is wrong
Terry
with that girl? I've
Terry
never been
Abraham
to Athens.
will be screaming.
I know she's gonna
screaming at her cell phone.
she's
when
gonna
she hears this
unadopt
one.
me as her daughter. I love you, Terry.
Terry,
She's not
you
gonna
did a
listen to
horrible
this.
job of raising this one.
She got me too late. I was already too ruined.
Oh,
She
Can I
adopted
ask-
me when I was like.
Can I ask
30.
y'all a question?
sure.
Yes.
Do you like when you had the concept for this podcast? I mean, it evolved from the happy hour. When did you first kind of develop the idea that we're going to actually sit down and talk about whiskey and work?
We talked about it for a while, just kicked it around, but I think probably when it really clicked to me, we were doing a tasting event, a bring your own bottle tasting event, and I think it was when Jason Summerhour, the guy from Three Strands Vineyards, was talking, and everybody kept asking him questions, and he ended up, usually when we do our bring your own bottle tastings, you get a couple minutes to talk about your business, but people kept asking him questions, and it was 15 minutes of him talking about his business, and I'm like, we need to do something with this, because people were interested in what he had to say and how he built the business, and they were asking these great questions, and I thought, wow, if we're picking the right people to bring on here, we can talk about their business. He's got a great story. He had that night in particular, he had probably the best whiskey in there. He had that, oh my God, that Angel's Envy Rye finished in Caribbean cask rums, and oh my God.
It was good.
It was outstanding. And so that really was when I finally said, no, we got to quit goofing around. It's time to do this.
And we love highlighting our local businesses. I think it's,
and I think our goal is, even though we're doing local now, is we eventually want to be more of a national scope. We want to talk to successful business people or entrepreneurs or just kind of movers and shakers, whatever, that like whiskey and or whatever they're drinking. I mean, bring rum, tequila, whatever you want. I mean, we're
I thought that was quite a flex from one of your guests to bring rum on like the second or third episode.
Who was that? I forget.
Brian Borders.
Oh, yes.
But it was a Georgia rum, and that stuff was outstanding. It should have been. It was $80-some a bottle.
And it was super cool that he brought something from Georgia and highlighted that business too.
And you'll see us dive. You'll probably see us dive real deep into some tequilas eventually, because
this one.
That's
no,
right.
I love aged tequilas. Yeah.
Don't try to be cool.
Okay, it's because of her. She grew up down the road from Tijuana.
I did.
mean, it
literally
was
15 minutes.
There was nothing to do there, but tequila and donkey shows.
No, I never went to one of those. No. Oh, man.
Tijuana.
When I heard about the concept podcast, I was, a wee bit jealous. I'm like, that's brilliant, because we have a version of this just informally on our rooftop where we talk. It's basically our partners meeting, and with guests, we just kind of talk about our business, and we do it over bourbon.
Fun.
So I guess I'm just kind of informally petitioning to be a guest host sometime, because
that's a given.
And especially because I go out of town a lot, so
I told him that too. But I think
that would be fun.
I think we ought to do a
rooftop one.
A rooftop one, yeah.
With all
as
the
long
partners.
as the wind doesn't,
True.
affect, mess with the levels here.
Yeah, I think interviewing all the partners together and just showcasing their personalities.
We would be all about that, and
That would be
and maybe
fun.
that's something where we do the interview in the office, and then we move up to the roof to drink and take the mics up
That'd
there.
be
But
fun.
I'm game. I'm down.
For
sure.
It's got to do with alcohol and podcasting and business.
And highlighting you guys. What's the worst job you've ever had?
The worst job I've ever had. So it's not on the sheet that we sent Doug, but the first job I ever had turned me off from the restaurant industry forever, because I was a fill-in busboy at the Catfish Den in Hiram.
Sounds horrible.
One of my friends' moms was a manager, I think, or maybe even a server there. I don't know.
That place used to rock on the weekends. That place was
it
packed.
got so busy. But I was 14 years old, and just I've worked since. But I was just asked, hey, do you want to make some extra bucks?
Right.
And you're not doing anything. You're a teenager. Get out of the house. Type
Right.
thing. And I had to. So I started before the restaurant opened. Had to go in there and peel shrimp, and your hands just get so slimy.
Oh, gross.
And then deal with
customers.
the plates. I couldn't do it.
What's the worst job you ever had, Melissa?
I actually worked as a boat, like yachts. I would detail yachts, like get up on the yachts and clean yachts. And I mean, it wasn't the worst because I was out in the sun and by myself most of the time. So I just chill and scrub the yachts down. But then they hired me as an inside administrative assistant, and my pay went up by $4 to sit there and do nothing. It's like, this is so horrible.
Yeah.
This is.
What about yours?
I think I had bought this used Toyota pickup truck back when I was like 19 years old, and my payment was like $120 a month.
Okay.
And it was only like a 12-month loan or something. It was minuscule.
Right.
And I needed to make the payment on my truck, and I had not been working for a while, and I took a job with a temporary agency making like $4.50 an hour.
Oh God.
And I was working the midnight shift at a
Oh,
packaging company. It was called Special Packaging. And I was putting, the Nestle's Quick, the canned, they used to have the canned powder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they were doing a promotion where they had a little package, like on top, it was like a little box, and it had these little marshmallow-shaped bunnies in it.
Okay.
From the Nestle Quick Bunny. And so literally I stood there for a week working midnights, putting these little boxes putting the little package of bunny marshmallows in it, putting the box on, and then taping them up. And the very last night we worked there, me and another guy went to a CVS or something like that beforehand and bought a big box of just cheap condoms.
Stop it.
And we were throwing a condom in with everything of the chocolate, or of the bunny marshmallows.
Oh my goodness.
And I can't believe we never heard about it on the news. But I guess that was, the stupid shit you do when you're a kid.
Wow.
Right? But that was
Horrible.
it was this like 30 some years ago.
I know. I was saying, how old are you? You got paid $4 an hour.
Minimum wage was $4.25.
That's my first job was $4.25.
So,
Yeah.
well, I was in California, so mine was $7.25.
Yeah, minimum wage now is what, $7.75 or something like that. I don't think anybody really pays it anymore because
Yeah.
we finally hit a point where people, that people were
You gotta pay a little
needing
more than that.
employees, and
Yeah.
you got to pay $12-13 an hour to get somebody in the door.
True.
Right.
If you were not a family law attorney, what would you be doing?
Screenwriter.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah, you got to finish that one.
I got to.
That sounds fun.
I think this really kind of counts as my first podcast. I listen to a lot of podcasts with, movie people and comedians, and I'm like, that would have been a career that I could have. I probably would have made no money, at least until it's like playing the lottery. Like you eventually either hit or sometimes you don't. But that's probably what I would have done.
Yeah.
Like I said, I went into college thinking I was a literature major. I switched to political science pre-law within 3 weeks when I realized, there's no money in this.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know. Here's a funny story. I'm one of these kids when I was a kid that my entire family, especially on my mom's side, a lot of it was the Jewish side of my family, a lot of lawyers. Always was told, you're going to be a lawyer. You're going to be a great lawyer. And you're gonna be, you can argue anything.
Right.
I took that to heart. I was that kid. I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. But then I got so jaded as a teenager, like, you're not going to tell me what to do, and like, I'm not going to do that. And I fought against it, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll do journalism, maybe I'll do, politics, maybe I'll write. But within a month of being on campus, I was like, this is silly. I'm just going to do what I always wanted to do.
You're supposed to do. Yeah. What else?
Nothing. I keep telling
Did you
my daughter.
miss anything else?
Oh, there was nothing. He wrestled and he rowed crew at GSU.
was
I can't
nothing.
imagine rowing a boat in the Chattahoochee River.
It was fun. I only did it a year. I started too late. I started as my core classes were starting, and I was that nerd who wanted to be a lawyer. I was like, I can't take away, study time. And so I did it for a year with my roommate, and then I came to him and said, I can't do it anymore. He's like, good, because I don't want to do it anymore either.
Nice.
So we have to wake up at 4:25 every morning to get to the river. From downtown Atlanta to Roswell.
Oh.
Practice started at 5 a.m.
Did you guys
That's
share the same
dedication.
facilities with tech crew?
They rode a little further down the river, but we would see them on the water every morning.
Yeah. See, I've known some people that were on the tech's rowing team. I know somebody now that's on UGA. So.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a tough sport.
Yeah.
And I'm not a tall guy. If you're tall, you're better suited. And I had Georgia State because of Title IX at the time. It was a a varsity scholarship sport for women and just a club for men.
Oh.
And so the women that were on the team were all like 6 foot plus tall, and they were really good scholarship athletes. And the guys
Right.
were like, okay, we're just going to do this as a hobby.
So I think Georgia's team's still a club team. Their rowing team.
They were
it?
back then. And it's all Title IX stuff.
They'll make a sport out of anything anymore. You know that Georgia has a bass fishing team.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Division I college bass fishing. But the SEC, that makes sense. You know, the South and Southeast, I can see
Yeah.
the bass fishing team.
I
But that's
guess.
going to be a big thing. They'll make a sport for anything.
Yeah.
So we can't.
Yes, they will. So I noticed you only took like the tiny little bit of the bourbon or the rye.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's good, but it's very strong.
It is very strong.
So this rye at 120. And the guys at Gem City will just like smack me the next time they see me for this. But I really want to try that in a Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
That's I think it'd be really good.
I'm a fan. I'll take it back to the office and break it out on a Bourbon Friday.
I definitely think that one could benefit with a few drops of
Water.
branch water. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't think I'd be other than maybe trying a Manhattan. I think I'd be drinking that one, just a little bit of water, maybe one ice
Is that
cube or
too much?
something.
No, you'll be
Nah.
fine.
Is it too much? It's now 3/4 water.
It's
1/4
all water.
rye.
Now I'm hydrating.
Can't take her anywhere.
Still strong.
Well, hey, I've got great news.
What?
We've really been trying to get over 50 subscribers, followers, and we've hit that. And we do have a winner. And I'm going to make some announcements on social media. So
Fun.
it'll be announced before they hear this show.
Okay.
Josh Lade from Marietta, a guy I know actually. He's been a good follower of us from the beginning, really pushed it out
Cool.
there. He was one of a handful of people that actually emailed me like I asked them to do.
Wow.
And he was actually the first person that emailed. So I put all the names in, and that's the name I drew, which is cool. Josh works for AT&T.
Cool.
I think they're right, like the next block over from us where we're at.
Didn't he come to one of the
Yeah, he's been to
tastings?
some of our tasting
Yeah.
events, and
Yeah.
and enthusiastic guy, and really
cool.
really likes bourbon. And so, Josh won the bottle of Heaven's Door.
Fun.
I'm going to say now that I am going to give away a bottle of Blanton's for the 100th. So if you are in the ones that have already followed, send me an email, whiskeyafterworkpodcast@gmail.com. Let me know that you're one of them that followed, because I can't see on Spotify. I can't see who's following. I just know
Okay.
how many there are.
So they have to email.
Yeah, send an email to whiskeyafterworkpodcast@gmail.com. Let me know that you're a follower. When we hit 100 followers, I will
Put
do
them
a
all in.
drawing, and I will give a bottle of Blanton's single barrel away. And those aren't easy to find these days. So a good bourbon.
Fun.
I don't know if it's worth all the hype that people give it sometimes, but it's a really good bourbon. And I'll gladly give a bottle of that away.
Fun.
So
That'll be good.
fun. That'll
Yeah.
be cool.
People love Blanton's.
That they do. And with that, I think we're going to wrap things up. Look forward to having everybody at the next episode. We're going to be interviewing a pretty interesting guy, a deep political guy and marketing guy. So his name's Rob Lee, and I'm looking forward to that one. Looking
Are y'all
forward
going to
see
do
what he's
a
bringing.
wardrobe change before that?
Nah, people will forget.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we'll be doing that coming up next episode with him. And
And
with
thank
that,
you, Sean, for coming on.
Yeah, and if it's your first time listening on Spotify, follow us. If you're listening on other platforms, no problem.
Can
Keep
I plug
listening.
my firm?
Heck yeah.
Oh yeah, please.
Yeah, you can find us on all socials, Abernathy Ditzel Hendrick. We're not hard to find, but the website, www.adhfamilymatters.com. We recently did a kind of a soft rebrand, so that's still
Nice.
coming out of the, and plus maybe I'm going to blame it on the Catoctin Creek.
Yeah, was that your second pour?
ADHFamilyMatters.com.
That's right.
Thanks
Very
for bringing
cool.
this very strong rye.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
It is good.
Good deal.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank y'all.
See
Thank
you
for
guys
having
next
me.
week. All right, bye.